Well, Greg, congratulations. Category 1 status is guaranteed again. You've started off on the right foot.
Yeah, I think obviously Dave and Ron leaving, I think it's I think first and foremost it's a fitting tribute, that they're leaving the club as a Category 1 academy. A lot of hard work's gone in from the whole academy staff and obviously everybody else at the football club, because we've obviously had to improve facilities, improve staffing levels. So there's an awful lot of work gone on, and it's testament to everyone that we've been awarded the Category 1 status.
It was something which was under review before. You had little points to correct, little things to bring up to speed again. That was clearly done. It's exactly what goes on behind the scenes, and I know there's an awful lot goes on there, but if you can sum up exactly what you have to do to get that status.
I think that it's all about the player development, and it's basically the facilities you have, the staffing levels you have, all the provisions that you have in place to make the boys successful. So the audit process itself was a 5-day process where they come in and they basically watch everything from first thing in the morning to last thing in the evening, what goes on. So it's a real rigorous test for everybody. As I say, the staff work tirelessly to get us through the process.
The ultimate aim, of course, of any academy is to get players through, and you'll get marked on that, of course. How many players come through? They spread that over the last 5 years or so, is it?
Yeah, I think it's basically the history we've got. We've produced a lot of first team players. Obviously, over the last few years, it's been a little bit more difficult especially once you get in the Premier League, the money's huge, and obviously there's a time frame on the manager to get success. So it's getting harder and harder for young boys to come through, and it still will be a challenge next season. So that'll be something that we've got to try and to obviously improve over recent years, is to get that the local academy boys through into the first team.
It's harder in the Premier League as you filter down through the leagues. Does it become, I say easy, but does it become a little bit easier to manage to bring the youngsters through?
I think possibly slightly, but only slightly, because the main aim of the manager coming in is to get us back into the Premier League. So historically a lot of managers go for experienced people who've been in these positions before. So it's going to be difficult, but I'm a big believer if you are good enough, you'll get opportunities, and then it's up to the boys to take those opportunities. And then I think on top of that, you need a manager who's going to give young players an opportunity.
In the way the game has changed, certainly at the top level, with the money that Manchester City, for example, would have, and that other clubs at the top, that Chelsea have access to, has that filtered down into the academy as well? Because Manchester City's academy is on a different level to anybody else's. Does that raise the bar for everybody else and make life more difficult, and realistically more difficult?
I think so. I think obviously we go and play at Man City and Chelsea, so we get to look at their facilities firsthand, and they're absolutely incredible. The amount of money that's spent in their academies is phenomenal. They've got their own problems. Chelsea they've won the FA Youth Cup. They've won the National Premier League champion, so they're producing on the pitch, but they're finding it just as hard to get players into the first team. So for all they've got all the facilities and the money, they've still got different challenges to what we have. But I think in terms of filtering down, I think it probably does, because as we say, some of their boys who are deemed the best in the world, they need to get out and play games at first team level, so it tends to filter down.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure the exact figure, it was something like 31 players from Chelsea who were out on loan last season. Quite a staggering number when you consider, I think there was, from under 23 level, maybe a dozen or so from here that went out on loan. Again, that shows you the difference, maybe.
Yeah, as I say, I've got no idea how big their squads are. I would imagine they're huge, but if you can send 31 out on loan and still be national champions and FA Youth Cup winners, you've obviously got something, you're doing something right. So yeah, it's difficult. As I say, we send our lads are predominantly going into League 1, League 2 loans to give them that vital experience that they need, where the Chelsea players they're coming into the Championship. So again, it's difficult for our boys to break through, but that's a challenge that we've got to try and overcome over the next few years.
It's been a challenging start for you. You came in right in the middle of the audit, right in the middle of EPPP status. Was it going to be retained or not? It was also around about that time where decisions were made about players staying, players going. You hit the ground running, didn't you?
Certainly did, yeah. I think obviously taking over from Dave in January, Dave was a huge help. He stayed around the building, so He was a massive help to me, especially in the first sort of few weeks and months. So we had the audit to get through, then we finished the audit and you think things will settle down. We were then thrown into an Ofsted inspection the week after the audit had finished. And then, as you say, contract decisions and, you know, offering players new contracts was all sort of, it was a real whirlwind sort of first 3 to 4 months, but thoroughly enjoyable. But, you know, certainly looking forward to a small break before we start planning again for next season.